Republicans and Democrats are trying to contain Trump's Greenland aggression. He's not being aggressive, but he'll get Greenland. There's a higher reason for Greenland. There is. I know he says it's for strategic reasons, which it is. Because again, there's one final battle where Satan and his armies come against the chosen people that would be, the Western Hemisphere. But God will destroy all of them with fire. Yeah, we won't have to fight in any wars. But while you're being led astray by everybody saying the beast is coming and the mark is coming, and it's like, these people, they serve the beast. I think some of them serve the beast. Like on you, they're creators, and they never respond to any of my. I have a feeling they immediately delete my comments because they sell out for money and they claim to be Christians. And I know they're sellouts because they have hundreds and thousands of followers. And yet they'll take everybody down the same narrative. He's going to be the Antichrist. No. But here's the danger with if they want to stay on that road, and some of them are just trying to take people in the wrong direction while they're playing Christian. Again, if you think the false prophet was going to come as a Muslim, no. You know that religion is not part of yours. That is not what God meant by the false prophet. He meant the ones that claim they're about Christ, okay? So, and the biggest thing they're all doing is running with this narrative that, the beast, the final Antichrist is going to rise, and all of that happened. Look, the only people that weren't deceived was the original apostles. They were. That's the reason during the millennial kingdom they rise and they reign with God. But I'm saying, I know people would say, we don't know if it happened. I think it did. God pushes me in the direction that it did already happen. And so, but it's a great way that it's deceiving people because they want to run with all these old narratives about the third temple and Daniel. And I always get a little squirmish sometimes, especially with Revelations, when they always tie it back to Daniel, because it's like, there's something, you have to be careful there because Revelations wasn't written to, tie to that prophecy, but they love to do it as a deceptive thing. Because what they do is they have convinced people that the Prince of Peace is the Antichrist. No, it says in the Bible the Prince of Peace, it is Jesus. It is. But because they want to lead everyone astray and go all the way back to the Old Testament, Daniel, they've convinced people, even though there's nothing in Revelation about it, that the prince, that the Prince of Peace it'll be somebody that deceives you that they're the Prince of Peace. This is all I want to say. Just think, because I don't think people are thinking. God's given you every indication, if you seek him and you look at the man's fruits, that you should never be calling him some Antichrist. It's almost, in my opinion, it borders on blasphemy. But there's a lot of people that are going down this road, and what I notice is they have tons of followers. Stupid people that God's handed them over to their delusions, and that's what God will do with the rest of the people that want to listen to that bullshit, is he will eventually hand you over to the delusion and let you just go ahead. So he'll get Greenland because I think there's a greater reason for Greenland. For people that say, he just wants the resources. No, we don't need the resources. What you need to understand that's important about Greenland is that, Eric the Red really founded it. Now, archaeology evidence shows that back in 4500 BC, before Christ, yes, was there a different people that lived there? Yes, but when it's already, those same archaeologists say that no, but Eric the Red, when he got there, nobody was on Greenland. So any indigenous people trying to claim otherwise, it's like, stop, okay? This is always the argument because it's about going after Christianity. It really is. Now, so Eric the Red founded Greenland. He set it up. He had a son, Leif Erikson. Leif Erikson went to, I always get it confused, Denmark or Norway. I think it was Norway. And he converted to Christianity. And King Olaf was so impressed with him, he sent him to Greenland and somewhere else to convert it to Christianity, okay? Well, he was able to, get the people that, were there in Greenland all to convert except his dad. His dad wanted to stay with the same Roman gods, okay? However, everybody else converted, and it had converted for like 300 to 400 years. Then all of a sudden, it seemed to disappear with the death of the Vikings, and nobody really understands why. But at the same time, before they all died off, there was this migration of Inuit coming in. Like most people will hear, no, it belongs to the Inuit people. Well, when Eric the Red, the Viking Norseman, ended up there was no people there. So if you're going to go back to BC 4500, then that's quite a stretch to then want to say, okay, well, it belongs. It's about going after Christianity. That's all you need. That's what the game is. So anyway, the Inuit that they call it, all right? Did some Inuit come in? Yes, and there's been, different stories. Not that all of them had issue with Leif Erikson, but it seemed to have many hundreds of years where there was no Christianity. And then back in like 1780, Hans Adej, he went there. I forget what sect he was, what missionary he was with, but he went there trying to convert any of the lost Norsemen that, you were once Christian. This country was once a Christian country. You started all of it, really. Yeah, they did. For the very first church was in the Western Hemisphere, was there. In fact, since then they've uncovered like 14 different Christian churches. But then it seemed to die with the Vikings, and they don't even know what happened to all of the Vikings. They think it's possible that a bunch of them actually came to America, because Leif Erikson came to America. He didn't stay here, but he came here. So what you need to understand is King Olaf of Norway back then, that had Leif Erikson go convert Greenland. That's all in Trump's lineage. Yeah, of course, if you just go by Google, they lie about this man everywhere. But Iceland, they're the best at genealogy. They did it. You just look up the one that was done in 2017 by the Iceland Monitor. He goes back to royalty in Denmark, in Norway. That Norway's the key with the Greenland thing, because his lineage then goes into Scotland. It's the MacLeod lineage of the Vikings, okay? And just so people realize, the MacLeods and the MacDonalds, they have a long history of fighting back in the day, okay? Like really heavy battles. Really just killing mass amounts of their people, each other's people. But they're actually related through a cousin. I think it's through the Olaf of Black, the Leod line, okay? So really, MacDonald, because Mick means son of. MacDonald means son of Donald. That's what the clan was a clan of Donald. MacDonald. And then MacLeod is son of Cloud. Cloud, because they spell it in so many different ways. Yeah, but one of them is like Cloud. So son of Cloud. They would say son of Leod, but that's if you spell it that old way. They've spelled it differently I'm just saying, son of Donald, son of Cloud. Just fascinating things. So, but both are related. So when you see Donald love McDonald's, there's a reason. Like they always want to try to tear McDonald's down, right? Why? Because they were both they still are major clans, okay? And they're both the Vikings. That said, they did used to fight a lot. They don't anymore. They're pretty, I think they have, like what you'd have sibling rivalry kind of thing, but nothing like what they used to do. So you have to understand, everything goes back to that Viking, Norse, Gaelic, but when you go all the way back with Olaf the Black to Olaf, I'll do a follow-up video about all of this to try to tie it together for people. But it goes back to the kings of Norway. There's a reason Donald Trump is related in some small way to every native Icelander, okay? So when I tell you that and this is 2019, that he will get Greenland, he'll get it. And it has nothing to do with what everybody's telling you do. It has to do with, there's a far bigger purpose. God wants Greenland with us.